In this episode of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, visit with Bob Trumpy, friend, former teammate, legendary broadcaster, grandfather of talk radio, godfather of talk radio here in Cincinnati. Bob Trumpy is a living legend. There's no question about it. Wanted to catch up with him, get his perspective on the Cincinnati Bengals 2021, and also the passing of John Madden. I think you're going to be interested in what Trump has to say. Welcome once again to our beautiful studios at First Star Logistics. You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and our special guest, the legendary, the icon, the one and only, Mr. Bob Trumpy. Trump, what's up, my man?
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, Dave.
Yeah, same to you. Same to you and yours. There's no question about it.
Obviously, you have people set up your end of this.
Yes.
And obviously, I have people on my end to set this up, or we would not be seeing each other.
No question. My man is Dave Burke. Dave Burke is like he's the brains of the operation. There's no question about it.
Grandson Jack for me.
There you go.
He is constantly available if I pay him off with food.
It's a smart man. Smart man. So Trump,
how you been?
Good. How about you? Life good?
Fun watching the team.
Yeah.
Surprised at the situation that they're in. Honestly, they could have very easily been 11-4 as opposed to 9-6.
Right.
You agree?
I do. Yeah. Very
Are you
definitely.
Surprised?
I think they've come on a little bit sooner than I thought they might. I mean, these young guys that are stepping up. I mean, it's crazy. Here's how about these numbers, Trump?
I'm listening.
Okay. The Bengals are the first team in NFL history to have a 4,000 or more yard passer, 1,000 or more yard rusher, and 2 1,000 or more yard receivers, all 25 years old or younger. I mean, they're kids. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the first duo to have 1,000 yards or more receiving in the same year before the age of 23. I mean, they're kids. That's amazing. It really is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and for you and I who have been in the huddle, the unmentioned part of that is how many different offensive lines have they started in this season? It is those offensive numbers require one thing, and that is the guys up front. And every week there seems to be a different alignment of the offensive linemen. It's just there are some parts of this football team are behind the scenes explainable, but when you look at it, unexplainable. I mean, great credit to the offensive line coach and the offensive line players. Would you agree as a former offensive lineman?
Absolutely. I think Frank Pollock is as good as there is in the National Football League. The Bengals offensive line coach is outstanding. And, he's one of these guys, Trump, that repetition of technique over and over and over and over again, he played in the league for 9 years. So he knows of what he speaks. He doesn't ask guys to do things that they're incapable of doing. And these guys just love him. I mean, they relate to him totally. And the communication both ways is just outstanding. And
I think we were always under the assumption that the best offensive line is the same five guys play week after week after week after week after week. So you know where guy X or guy Y is next to you and how much room he can cover, or is he going to have trouble with this guy? And they seem to have blown that theory up completely because they have meshed, it appears to me, almost every weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And the unspoken word when you're lining up next to somebody, all you have to do is give them a look. That takes a while.
Yeah,
you don't even have to speak. Everybody's on the same page. It's been phenomenal to watch this group. I really do think that Joe Burrow obviously is a big factor in what's going on here with the Cincinnati Bengals. When you watch him play, Trump, what do you see?
Everything good.
Yeah.
Especially impressed with his demeanor on the sideline. He sits there by himself in his own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
He's not jumping all over the offensive lineman or this guy. Yes, he does take some instruction from somebody on the sideline. Yes, they do watch tape. Yes. And then on the field, he does an awful lot of things that I really like. One is when he scrambles, he doesn't go sideways that much. He kind of steps up. That's confidence in the offensive line, and he's still got some protection, and he's unbelievably accurate. He moves his feet like Ken Anderson did.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that's a secret to a good quarterback. He has great confidence in his receivers. And maybe the most important thing is he has great confidence in his own ability. I mean, he's thrown passes in situations where the guy is not open.
Right.
But he has confidence in the receiver to make the catch. And that, I think, is one of the great differences between my era in the NFL and today. We got the ball when we were open. Now, quarterbacks throw the ball to a receiver who's completely covered and hope that the receiver can make a ridiculous catch. And they do make a ridiculous catch time in and time out. So it's all, and going back a year, the center had reconstructive knee surgery. The quarterback had knee constructive resurgery.
Yep.
No, this is beyond expectation. Do you agree? Beyond expectation?
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree 100,000%. I mean, I think that where they are right now, the way this football team is playing right now, I thought it might be next year, but they're a year early in my mind. They are a year early.
Yeah, and historically, people who have had that devastating knee surgery recovery, generally the year after, it's kind of iffy. And then the following year, if the surgery was successful, then you can judge. I agree with you totally. You're absolutely 100% correct. I did not expect this.
Right. It is amazing though how the surgeries are so much more refined and than when we had them. You just got cut wide open and that was the end of it. And then the rehabilitation process. Nick Cosgray and Paul Sparling and these guys do an unbelievable job of getting these guys back to where they were so quickly. It's just it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling.
And remember, you and I, if we had something wrong with us, we either saw George Ballou or Wally Timperman.
Right.
And they treated us great. But now they send our quarterback to Los Angeles to have his knee operated on. Although I had elbow surgery and I had it in Oklahoma City. So there was some movement away from George Ballou and Wally Timperman, who, by the way, kept us pretty healthy.
Yeah, they did. They did. So Joe Burrow has got this football mind, Trump, that is, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning like. This guy just absorbs every single bit of information. And when he looks at the field, he processes intel so quickly, and he's so prepared. His preparation is second to none. And like you were talking about, when he's moving around, when he's creating, extending a play, his eyes are always down the football field. He's always looking for something.
Yeah, and he has that uncoachable. You can't teach it ability to sense what's around him. The pressure around him, and some quarterbacks born with it come to the game with it, and some never have it. He has it. he does sense the pressure around him. On that point, the only criticism I would have of Joe Burrow in that situation is he's reluctant to ever give up on any play.
Right.
And that is trouble, but it's to be admired that he constantly, as you said, looks down the field to try to make a play. At some point, you just got to give up. He's got to refine that point because the boy's got to stay upright.
You're right. There's no doubt. You know, these receivers that they've got, 3 of them. That's the thing. No other team in the National Football League has 3 receivers that have. Boyd has 63 catches. Chase has 68. Higgins has 61. There's no other team in the league that has 3 receivers 60 or more catches. Now they've got players. They've got like a running back or a tight end, but we're talking 3 wide receivers, 63, 68, 71 catches. Very, very balanced. You know, he distributes the football all over the field. That's pretty remarkable. It really is.
I agree. And I don't remember when you and I talked early in the season, but anyway, we were talking about Chase and that he was getting the bulk of the attention from the quarterback. But the numbers you just gave to this point in the season, it's been spread all over the place. And so it's evened out. And a defense can say, we got to stop this guy or that guy or that guy.
Right.
They got to stop all 3 of them. And Mixon's a decent receiver out of the backfield. Pirine is a decent receiver out of the backfield. The tight ends, I notice, are being used a little more in pass protection, just chipping on this guy or that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But they're fine receivers too. But I mean, every offense looks for balance. They got it, and the numbers you just gave. Yeah. So, I mean, you're around the team all the time, Lap. Do you see any downside in Joe Burrow? Can you find a flaw in on and off the field, at practice, before practice, after practice, the bus, the plane?
No, honestly, Trump, this guy is special with a capital S. He's one of those guys that he has tremendous people skills, and, you know, so he can relate to anybody. He's very respectful of people, and he is competitive. Man, he's uber competitive, and he sets the bar. I mean, he's one of those guys that first one in the building, last one to leave. So everybody else is like, geez, if Joe's spending this much time, maybe I should do a little bit more. He kind of raises the whole boat that way, you know. He's very, very impressive not just as a football player, but just, you know, as a human being. I mean, he's a special guy. There's no question. They got themselves somebody they can win a lot of games with for a long time.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, is that presently in the league, a nice group of very young quarterbacks, Mahomes at Kansas City, Fields. I don't know what Zach Wilson's going to be, but Teddy or whatever his name is, Miami. Herbert out on the West Coast. The kid in Buffalo. There's 8 or 10 quarterbacks that for the next, 12 to 15 years are going to dominate news. And it's nice to know that Joe Burrow will be in that conversation every single year as long as he's protected.
I agree. I mean, it's these guys are definitely the face of the National Football League. These young quarterbacks, and it's
and look, you and I have been around the league enough to know that if you're in a situation as a franchise where you can put the franchise tag on your quarterback, it means a lot to everybody else. I mean, it used to be that people wouldn't want to go someplace because of the quarterback was such a slug of an individual and a kind of a player. But Joe Burrow can attract free agents if this team ever gets in the free agent business the way other teams do. That's a plus. You know, I don't know how much he sold Jamar Chase to the Cincinnati Bengals, but if he did, it certainly appears to be a very good choice.
Yeah, I mean, he's unique. What do you think about the other side of the football, Trump? When you watch the Bengals defensively, what stands out to you?
The change, the personnel change,
Yep.
dramatic.
Yep.
They're not deep. They improve speed at the linebacker from previous 2-3 seasons, which I think helps. It's hard to judge the defensive backs because there seems to be 4, 5, and 6, and I'm not sure what the configuration should be or is or whatever. The one thing I do know is that it's personally my observation. I don't watch film anymore, don't watch tape. I can't get in the building anymore because I'm an outsider.
Right.
Jessie Bates seems to me to have been labeled this season with having a very poor season. And watching the Bengals defense, it appears to me that he is in a position that's described by the defensive coordinator as this is what I want you to do. Mm-hmm. And yes, he's out of the picture a lot, but he appears to be a player that can play for a lot of years at that spot and be a very positive player for the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, you see it a lot closer than I do. And I'm a fan of Jessie Bates, and I read nothing but criticism of Jessie Bates, and it surprises me. Your observation, sir.
Yeah, I think I think Jessie is in a situation where the contract became the big story, getting the new contract, and I think he kind of got in his own head a little bit. But I agree. I think Jessie Bates is a guy that you have to figure out a way to keep with your organization, because he's another example of not just on the football field, but all around off the football. This guy is somebody that you want to be part of your organization from a person standpoint. I mean,
really?
Yeah, he is. You'd love him, Trump. This guy he's the real deal. He is a great person and a huge leader in the locker room. So I think all of those.
That's pertinent, isn't it? That's pertinent that he's a leader in the locker room.
Absolutely.
Especially in a year when there's an awful lot of new faces on that defense.
Yep.
That's important.
There's no doubt. There's no question about it. Hendrickson with 14 sacks, top 5 in the National Football League, and he gets every single week. It's not like he get 5 against somebody that couldn't play, a 5-sack game. He gets, sack and a half, a sack, a half a sack, 2 sacks every single week. I mean, the guy he's producing on such a regular basis. And Sam Hubbard, I mean, I really do think that that the defense is in pretty good shape too. And
one question for you, and again, you see every play. I have seen some points for the defense where it's very poor tackling, but that may be true throughout the NFL, not just the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Very poor tackling. Too many guys are trying to block the guy down as opposed to tackle the guy down. Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I think that's been not as consistent as it could be. And I agree with you on a league-wide basis. And honestly, I think part of it is, no training camp as such, and during the week, and there's not much goes on from a physicality standpoint. I think you do have to, practice. Now they'll do drills as much as they possibly can within reason, but there's so little contact. And I think that's smart. Player safety is a big issue, but I do think that there's a give and take there. And when you go that direction, sometimes it's going to show up in a game where it's going to be a little sloppy,
Yeah. Well, again, difference in generations. When you and I played, they paid me $15,000 a year. If I got hurt, big deal. You get one of these guys hurt now, that's $2 million standing on the sideline. That is a big deal.
That is. You're right. All right, Trump, I can't let you go without asking you about the unfortunate death of John Madden.
Oh,
And what John Madden, in your opinion, meant to the National Football League and to Bob Trumpy.
well, I really didn't come into contact with John Madden that much.
Really?
Yeah, the first time I came into contact with him, I made the 1968 AFL All-Star game, which was played in Jacksonville, and he was the head coach.
Okay.
First time I met him. And I don't know how to truthfully describe my feeling about John Madden then, but he was the opposite, the polar opposite of Paul Brown.
Right.
Paul Brown was involved in everything. John Madden was involved in very little as a coach. And we were in the Western Division of the American Football League, and he was the head coach. And I spent more time with Jim Otto, Fred Biletnikoff, Gene Upshaw, Ted Hendricks than I did John Madden. And he really didn't look the part of a head coach. Now, as a broadcaster,
yeah,
I think I only came in contact with him in the context of a broadcaster once, and that was at the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in August. And Don Crickey and I were doing the double duty, a television game on Sunday and the Monday night football game. And this is before Madden started the Monday night broadcast. But he's riding in a golf cart up at that stadium, and he sees me and he says, "Come on." So I jump in the golf cart and he takes me to the Madden Cruiser.
Uh-huh.
And the Madden Cruiser had its own crowd. It was pretty amazing.
Really?
And we didn't talk television. We didn't talk football. We didn't talk anything other than he showed me his cruiser. And I said to him, I said, "John, I don't know how you do this. Get on this bus and ride somewhere into the sunset after every game." He said, "You get used to it." And I said to him, "How many truck stops have you visited in this country?" And he said, "All of them." All of them. And just he was always laughing. He was always having a good time, and he absolutely was the 800-pound gorilla in the world of broadcasting. When he did it, he got away with things that I couldn't get away with, and he could cover anything and everything, and everybody loved it. And
right,
we got criticism. The other thing had nothing to do with him, but had everything to do with him. When ABC lost the bidding war for the NFL to Fox, Madden was working at ABC at that time. At that time, I was number one at NBC, and Dan Deerdorf was number one at CBS. And so Madden's a free agent. So I certainly recognize that my job's in jeopardy. Deerdorf's job is in jeopardy. And I'd met Dan through Costas a number of years before. So I called him and he said, "Trump, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what to say." And just about that time, there's an announcement that John Madden signs with Fox. So that means that Deerdorf and I are safe. And I said, "Danny boy, my message to you is, whoo, that was close." And every time we met each other after that, it always started with, "Whoo, that was close." But he and Howard Cosell changed the way the analysis of the NFL was handled, and he did it beautifully. Nobody could measure up to him. And I mean, he said when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame that he never worked a day in his life.
Right.
And I felt the same way, and I'm sure you feel
Sure.
the same way, that we're very fortunate.
No question, and
Did you ever meet him?
I did. Yeah, I did meet him. But not for not in a group setting. I met him, and he was very entertaining. There's no question about it.
But what impressed me the most is there were thousands of people that would take their picture outside of the Madden Cruiser.
That's crazy.
He wasn't in it, but
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, and then the video games. I mean, hundreds of millions of kids have grown up over the years learning football with the Madden video games. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I frankly thought as a broadcaster that he had a tremendous advantage over the rest of us. In television, we have a production meeting either Friday or Saturday with a head coach, offensive coordinator, player X, Y, or Z, or so on and so forth. And I thought as Madden, when he walked in there as a member of the coaching fraternity, coaches would tell him things that they wouldn't tell us. It wouldn't tell me as a former player. And that was except in the AFC West, because those AFC West coaches, which was Schottenheimer, Dan Reeves,
Coryell.
Yeah, Don Coryell. Yeah. They thought anything that you told John Madden went straight to Al Davis. I don't know that to be true. It certainly could have been. But again, every time he walked in, the coach would tell him something, and these players would walk in and say, I'll be damned, that's John Madden. I started playing Madden football when I was 9 years old. And it's a totally different relationship. The player feels like he knows John Madden instantly, even though it's the first time he ever met him. So the net result of that was he used it beautifully. I never heard anybody say anything bad about John Madden, and that's the best you can say about anybody.
I agree wholeheartedly. Trump, we'll see if the Bengals can finish here. They put themselves in position. It's like, and as we as former players know, the one thing you like to have is control your own destiny.
Yes.
And they do.
They do. Any concern on your part that we're reaching game 16 and 17 and 17 weeks of football is body numbing. I mean, everything hurts. I don't care if you play a lot or a little, everything hurts.
Right.
And you wonder if it's going to have an effect on these last two games. And it's Kansas City comes in with an explosive football team playing the Bengals, an explosive football team. It should be entertaining. And then Cleveland is the only AFC Central football team that seems to have a number on Cincinnati. So you're right. They control their own destiny. What do they do with it?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Baker Mayfield's like 5-1, 6-1, something like that against the Bengals. It's crazy.
How do you account for that?
I think it's weird. It really is. I mean, I think he's sub 500 against every other team combined, that he's played in the league, and he's 5-6 games over 500 with the Bengals. It's crazy.
Yeah, that running back they have, that Chubb kid.
Chubb, yeah.
Wow, what a wonderful player.
Yeah, he is.
Man, he breaks more tackles than Joe Mixon, and that's saying something.
You're right. Right. They got a good O-line. Man, they're a good run blocking group. It's going to be a challenge on the lake up there. There's no doubt,
You like to be in this spot.
Yep. Got to finish. Yep. Well, have a great happy New Year, Trump.
Thank you.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right. That's right. Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.